what a fantastic day. Let's think about how we're going to solve these issues here. Did you hear something? Yeah, I could swear, somebody started a Joseph or T130, T170 somewhere. Not sure. I mean, I'm not imagining this. I can really hear there's something fishy is going on. You know what? Let's just check out where the sound is coming from, because I don't know. I'm now kind of curious, like, yeah, let's go check it out. We have plenty of time to deal with this tractor. Well, I guess I hear it right. There's a Joseph problem somewhere, and happens to be Ants's machine. Now I don't. Well, hello. I don't really. I just came here, and we realized that the system is full of air again. So I'm helping Ants to, bleed the system, and then we're gonna figure out what else is going on. Man, I mean, look at this. This thing is ginormous. Holy smokes. But really, in real life, it looks much better than from the pictures. So yeah, great job, man. Now, I believe his problems with the fuel priming system are definitely to do with the lack of the priming pump on this engine, and the one-way return valve isn't properly working properly, because, bro, it's almost the middle of the summer, so this thing should just fire up. I'm kind of, debating whether you just get the check valves done, and yeah, it's gonna be it. We're now going to attempt to see if we can get this thing running and figure out why the clutch isn't moving. So stay tuned. Alrighty, back from visiting other YouTubers. Now, can I get to my own machine and start working on it? Hopefully we can. So, okay. I guess we'll get to the point where I was supposed to get. So let's not waste any time and start dealing with it. Welcome everyone. Here's a bit of an interesting video, and I decided to do this as a video response to another content creator named My Garage Workshop. They're located in Latvia, and I would say they're part of the reason or idea why I got the T-74 crawler, or bulldozer, some name it. But I will say, just for the reference, when I call it the crawler, I'm referring to what it originally came out from the factory. It was not a bulldozer tractor from the factory, so somebody else put it on here. So that's to clear up any misunderstandings. But anyway, we're doing this video as a video response, and I'm mainly doing this for the educational reasons. And if you want, you can check out the channel, My Garage Workshop. Feel free to subscribe. I usually don't do shoutouts for people I don't know, but I'll make an exception for him, so why not? Common interest, let's say that. So let's get to the video response that I wanted to share with the wider audience. So everyone has seen this engine. This is a SMD-14NG engine, and I believe there's the engine tag. And the other thing that I want to mention this is that fellow content creator had its bulldozer sunk deep into it. I think his was like crooked or something, and he's engine and clutch compartment were full of water. Now what water does is it makes things rust, and when things just sit outside, like let's say it's a crawler or bulldozer, it doesn't matter what production or manufacturer that make it, the clutches do get stuck. One problem that I had with this one was that mice had gotten in from this opening. This is now corked off, and water had been leaking down this air cleaner. It had gone into the air cleaner. The old air cleaner was rusted out, and into this component. This is actually the plate where you take off and you can adjust the clutch, and you can actually also grease the clutch main thrust bearing and the shaft. And mine were just pretty horrible. I'm gonna put some pictures into this video to show you how bad it was. Like, that was like a Titanic. Now, as you all have seen, Ant's pants got his Joseph or T-170 clutch unstuck. But that was probably because the clutch was lightly stuck. When your clutch is completely stuck, like let's say it's been sitting for decades, then no matter what you do, it will not get unstuck. With this model crawler, it's, I can pull the steering clutch levers and, get gears in and out with that, but it actually puts stress on the gearboxes. So my recommendation is, if your clutch is stuck and you can't get it, open with convenient methods, the likelihood is you're gonna have to, go into the clutch compartment. Now, that was also the case with Ant's pants, but luckily his clutch popped loose with soap water. But when this model crawler, the clutch will not pop loose this easily, especially when it's glued into the inner. It has two discs, and when it's completely glued in, it will not come loose. I mean, it's like I said, if it's lightly stuck, it's possible. If it's really badly stuck, it's not gonna come loose at all, at best. So that is the one thing I want to address. Now, the second thing I want to address is there's different types of clutches actually for this type of crawlers and bulldozers. Mine this tractor has the newer style one inside. The older style one is a bit of problematic, and there is a third one which is made for the Altai factory tractors. That's even a different set, but we're going to look at some diagrams and some parts numbers, and then I'm going to explain the difficulties, or I wouldn't say difficulties, but certain problems you may run into when your clutch is completely wasted. So like I said, informative as of 2024. So let's look at some diagrams and address the issues. Well, here's the first picture. As you can see, the old clutch was completely unusable. Even if, well, let's just say this. I bought the crawler and the clutch was like this. Like, the owner couldn't get it unstuck. The one disc was unstuck, the inner one. But the other disc, which is between the two plates, was completely stuck. Like, that thing was just glued shut. And from the picture, I can say that this is not just damaged by mice that gotten into it. This is like the crawler or something has happened. It's pretty much just sunk in somewhere in the past. Then water's flowing in, then mice got in, and this is pretty much, this clutch is done for. Now, on the second picture, we have the comparison of these clutch shafts. Now, one of these shafts is the older type shaft, which has coarse splines on both ends, and the other clutch has fine splines on the disc end, and the coarse splines are at the flange end. Now, you can only get, they have the same part number, but you only can get the newer style one if you can find it, really. The A41 engine has the exact same one, but it's slightly longer. So be aware, if you're buying, you need one for a Altai A41 engine. That shaft is significantly longer. And now this is the new clutch I have inside. This was done in 2021, I believe I did it, or 2020. But anyway, this clutch is pretty much a brand new, very lightly used clutch, and pretty much I had to replace everything. Now you can only find these newer style clutches, but the problem is they need also the corresponding flywheel. If you don't have the corresponding flywheel, then you kind of then you can't switch it over, because the flywheels itself will bolt on exactly. So that's not even a problem with these engines. The only warning I will give you is if you are looking for a A41 engine, that is the Altai engine, the A41 has slightly larger discs. So they look the same as on the SMD engine, but they are 5 millimeters larger in diameter. So basically, if you have an Altai disc, you can, somehow mill it or grind it to fit for the SMD engine, but not the other way around. So yeah, the A41 is a completely different animal. I will be linking another content creator's link down in the description if you want to see what how different the A41 engine itself is. I mean, it's a reliable engine if it runs, but if it has problems, then well, that's a bit of a bad spot to be in. So, and the final conclusion I want to say is, if you want or need to replace the disc or the clutch, go to the newer style one, because those you can still find. The older style, which has the closed flywheel, you can't find pretty much anything. You can't find any ring gears, you can find clutch discs, but you can't get that shaft. That core spline shaft is unobtainium. It's no more in production since the late 70s, early 80s. So pretty much that's it. You can't find any parts. So for those nitpickers who will be saying, why didn't you use the old style clutch? First of all, there were no parts for the clutch. I had discs and I had the shaft, which already is a big plus. But because the mice had been living in that compartment for years, the flywheel was ruined, the ring gear was ruined. There was no way in hell I could mill that flywheel back into its original state, and it was heavy as heck. The newer flywheel is slightly lighter, and I don't know, I've got no vibration issues or anything really in the crawler, so I don't know. I would say it worked fine, but definitely the older style parts are just, if you can't find a good used clutch, good for you. But these things, I would say you'll be looking for years, or going to scrap yards, or going to private sellers for maybe many years until you find one usable clutch. So yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that I couldn't use that original setup. But if you can't have any parts and you need to use the machine, what else is left? And that would be it for this slideshow. Let's continue with the rest of the video. Here's a crawler update for you all. I did the oil change, and pretty much this is the oil refiner, and I'm giving my old one, which was working, to ons, and I have a new one here. It's cleaned up with new O-ring, and this is the really important part. If you're ever cleaning one of these oil refiners, make sure to get a new O-ring. The old O-ring is here. You can see it's just, yeah, it's hard. Also, I have a problem with this gasket that goes underneath this cover or dome. The old one's completely cracked. Somebody tried to put read RTV on it. Of course, this is the Belarus one, and it's too small. So I'm gonna use this one. This is the old one from the other one temporarily, because I have to make a new gasket, because apparently these are no longer available, so no longer in stock. And yeah, your oil refiner definitely doesn't need that many parts, but if you're putting this back together, don't over tighten this nut, because otherwise it will be leaking from the top side, and if you don't replace the O-ring, it'll leak past this case and you're gonna lose oil pressure. That is one of the ways how you lose oil pressure in the crawler. So let me put this back all together and see how things will go from there. You know, where I was working with this new replacement oil refiner, I noticed that somebody from the factory grinded off a lot of material, and I believe this thing wasn't balanced right. I don't know, but check this out. There was another dead gasket on top of the other one. Well, no wonder it wouldn't seal. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do some gasket making in the future. But this thing is going back together now. Oh yeah. Alrighty, little update on the crawler hydraulic pump situation. I was actually able to source out a new old Soviet stock, let me see, NG50UL. So basically this is a universal left-hand pump. So yeah, we're going to put this thing on and we're gonna see if this actually solves our issue. But that's not the only thing. I let all that crappy oil out, old hydraulic oil out. Now I have no idea how old that oil is, but from the visuals, well, it doesn't look that horrible, but it's black and nasty. Like, you know, I have no idea what kind of oils this thing is run. But basically, I'm gonna do a hydraulic tank flush. The downside with draining this tank is the plug is at the lower bottom, and you need a 32mm socket to get on it, because the wrench or just a regular wrench won't do it, and it's right underneath this suction pipe. So yeah, good times, but I didn't spill any hydraulic fluid, so yay for me, getting better at it. So here's what the hydraulic tank, you know, oil plug looks like. Not too bad. I mean, some metal debris here and there, nothing really unexpected. This gasket's plastic. I'm gonna see if I can find a alloy replacement to this. Might or might not. The other thing is this filter. This was changed 3 years ago. This thing had almost no filter at all, and look at all the debris that it's collected within 3 years. This is all from the hydraulic tank now, and imagine you're running this through the pump, and all this nasty stuff basically kills your pump off fast. Here's another thing. I found in the good housing I had to use a spacer before. Now we can get rid of the spacer, and we can use this from a Belarus tractor. They're virtually the same, but I have to cut this one shorter because it won't fit into the hydraulic tank basically. So here's the situation. I have to find from these crappy and crusty hydraulic filter discs 10 more usable ones. Then we're golden. This one would be ideal, but it's just, you can see from the camera, it's collapsed and it's cracking. So this one's a no-go. So yeah, I mean, could be worse, but that's also all the hydraulic fluid I have. It's new fluid, but if I run out, well, I guess I have to go to the store and get new fluid then. We'll see, we'll see. So basically this is the situation right now. Bunch of parts, but we're getting to the point where this pump gets changed out, so we won't have any more suction problems or the dowser blade not lifting. So yeah, I'm going to work on it and see where I go from here, because there's a lot of cleanup to do before we can actually assemble everything back. And also, pro tip, if it's really hot outside, that's the great weather for doing oil changes. Trust me, the oil flows out on its own. Alrighty, looks you have the new pump installed, and you know it's usually straightforward. You can't put it the other way around, but make sure you get the left-hand pump for this engine. If you put the right-hand pump, you're in a bit of problems. But there's a new old Soviet stock pump, so hopefully it works. It's tight, so it should work. So I also cleaned the tank, and I don't think you can see much, but this hose here fought me like the longest. I mean, it's 28 millimeters on both ends, but you're left with getting 32 or 25 millimeters. So I snug a 25 millimeter hose on it, and the old one was 24 millimeters. And this hose fought me the most because, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's on the suction side. So let's hope it works. It's just a pain to install. Let me just say that this hydraulic tank isn't really good for servicing, but I have a brand new good filter. I gave the old and crappy pump to my neighbor, and he gave me a bunch of these new hydraulic filter. So yay for him. Made a gasket. These are unobtainium, so yeah, I have to punch some holes here better and clean the block. So yeah, not much metal shrapnel. There's a little bit here, but not much. And the best thing, the original filter was completely missing. This one has a good one and don't need to use any spacers. Bolts on right in here. This is a Belarus 500 series filter, so only thing I had to modify was cut the ends shorter because the bottom of the Belarus is a lot longer. So I guess more cleanup and we'll be able to find out if the new installment works or we have any leaks. Hopefully not, but let me get to work and we'll go on from there. All right, actually the pump is installed. The new filter is in that I got from my neighbor, thanks to him. I mean, kudos to him, basically. And now we're going to put the hydraulic oil in. The only thing is I don't think I have 25 liters because that's the capacity of the hydraulic tank. But, well, I guess it's kind of now or never. And why is there water here? Oh, man. So basically, even if you have new oil, you want to put it straight to the filter. There's probably some dirty oil in the cylinders, but basically for what we're doing right now is trying to get it, work it in what we have. I mean, oil doesn't look nasty actually. Seen worse. Basically, I'm gonna start pouring it in, and if we do are low, we should be able to actually move the bulldozer with it. Oh yeah. It's going in. Oh man, spillage. Spillage. Where we have the shop rag is again somewhere else. All the shop rag I have go missing for some reason. I don't know, is it the freaking badger or fox? But what the heck are they doing with those shop rags, I wonder? You know. But nevertheless, we're filling up it with hydraulic oil. And I'm gonna have to find a rag and get this mess cleaned up later. That's what it is. And 25 liters, I only have 18 liters, so yippee. I guess we're also finding out if there are any external leaks somewhere, so we can fix them. Also, there's a bunch of pivots everywhere I need to grease, so then we should be fine. Yeah. Yeah. All right, that's it. Okay, let me find the shop rag and get this mess cleaned up. Basically, there's a dipstick there. You can check the oil, but the dipstick isn't really that helpful. Sometimes these tanks, if they're kinked or they're bulged outwards, take a little bit more. So even if you put more than 25 liters, it's okay. It's not a problem, especially when you have a leaking hydraulic cylinder. So yeah. Okay, let me find the shop rag and be right back. Well, so much for the hydraulic pumps replacement. I mean, the pump worked, and in the video you could hear actually like kind of a whistling sound. Now, you look at close at this flange edge. This edge is bent. There was hydraulic oil flowing out onto the block, onto the exhaust manifold, and basically what happened is, because there was one bolt was a bit untight for some reason, I did tighten them equally. This flange is bent that way, so basically that side is leaking oil. Now luckily the pump is okay, because that one is a really expensive piece to replace. I'm going to take the pump out. You can actually undo the pump, basically screw this nut here and move the lever. So basically your pump is disengaged. It won't spill any more oil. But yeah, guess it's time to the store and find out why it bent so horribly and why it's leaking profanely. Anything else, the blade lifts fine. The hydraulics are much faster. It's a new pump anyways, but yeah, I guess I'll be moving this thing away and doing some cleanup, and we're going to disassemble that piece and finding out what happened actually. You know, I always wondered why these air cleaner housings rot out from the bottom, and I took this off. I noticed there was some water driplets coming, and basically this water is just all condensation. You know, I could fix it, just make a little weep hole here. It'll leak out, but basically the last air cleaner that was in here was completely rotten out from the bottom, and you know, I now believe it's not water getting from the stack. It's basically just condensation rotting out these air cleaners. Well, the more you know. As for the pump, you know, I examined it and the pump is fine, but I think that flange is done for. I'm going to take it off and see what actually happened. So be right back. And my theory was right. This flange is done for. Like, this o-ring is in pieces. Most of the flange is missing and the flange is slightly bent. So basically that's why we had that oil gushing out. Well, I guess it's to the parts store again. Everything else is fine. There's no oil leaks on the anywhere else I could find. No oil leaks on the oil refiner. Everything else is fine. I don't know, this oil is kind of milkshaky, but it's not because it's water contaminated. It's just this cheap and stuff I'm using. So don't wonder. Sometimes when they work in, they become like a milkshake. Definitely need better hydraulic fluid than this, because whatever I put in here temporarily ain't gonna cut it. So gonna have to use the better stuff. Alrighty, enough yapping. Let's go and find the missing details. Okay, here's an interesting find. These two are both Soviet injector pop testers for diesel engines. Now, this one I got from a friend as a gift. It was non-functioning. The plunger was stuck. This one's actually uses the S400 T400M plunger, basically a Joseph plunger. The newer Joseph plunger didn't really fit in it. We had to mill it down so it would actually fit into the case. And this one actually works. This one actually has a new injector. It pops at 130, so that's exactly what we're gonna have. This one, somebody threw away. Now, the gauge is broken. The valve is, there's actually a screw that goes in here. It's missing. Well, that one we can fabricate, but it's not stuck. But this is a newer model, probably from the 60s or 70s, but that one, I can see this. So basically now I have two pop testers. This one I can use all the time, and this one, just somebody found it and said, like, you know, want or not, but also this one doesn't have a cap. So the cap isn't the problem. We may have to take it apart, clean it, and find a new gauge for this one. Something that goes over 250. And 250 for a kilograms per square centimeter is enough for Soviet equipment. Most of these pop testers are thrown away because, well, let me just tell you, most modern equipment uses electronic injectors. These pop testers are just old school stuff. I mean, no harm if somebody throws them away, but there was a time where they were like none to get, and only very specific people had these. Now, I don't know, maybe we'll fix the other one up. I mean, there's nothing much to do, just a few missing parts, few pieces here and there, but well, it's maybe a side project for now. But let me show you what else did I get. So whilst being in the scrapyard, I found these bushings. These are the crawler bushings. I believe these are actually the ones for these rollers. I mean, these are pretty much new ones. Yeah, there was a bunch of them there, and I took all of them and some other parts as well. But there's a little bit of a problem with this crawler. I mean, if I take the oil dipstick out, I noticed it's a bit over full. I did let 1 liter out, but I don't know where this oil's coming from. Maybe the pump is leaking. I don't know, like there's something funny going on, but not too much of a concern. Now to conclude this, if the pump has like a bad seal, I'm going to fix it off camera. Like that's not, it has brand new oil in it, and basically the hydraulic tank on this tractor cannot drain itself into the engine. It's pretty much lower, so only it can drain itself when it's just sitting, and that's not that much hydraulic oil. And not maybe the tractor's crooked, I don't know. Like I let that oil out and the oil level didn't really change much, so I don't know, something's going on there. But let me mention a few things for the future that I'm going to do with the crawler. I mean, that's going to be a separate video of its own, but let me just quickly mention what I'm planning to do. So here's one thing. There's a broken spring here. The outer spring is broken, inner one is okay, but look at the wheel. That's really thin. The bushings warped out. I mean, all the bushings need to be replaced anyway, but I don't think I can get the wheel off. But pretty much for the spring, the entire assembly has to come off, and I do need something that can actually lift this one out. So the tracks, some of them have broken pins. You can see there's like no pin left anymore. There's another one broken. A bunch of these, there's some studs, they're missing. Now I'm going to probably take the tracks off next year and going to fix that. This rear cylinder, yeah, she's not leaking, but that chrome's completely gone. I don't have a replacement. And the other issue I found is this guy is leaking here. I mean, it's the upper one. I mean, the rod is okay, but that upper gasket is completely blown out, so this one has to get fixed. But before we fix it, I probably have to torch off all these bolts, because I'm sure that none of these will come loose in this stage. So these ones have to be kind of torched off or done something with. And yeah, there's actually a gap here as well, so we're gonna have to figure out what the heck with there going on, so basically that the blade doesn't rock back and forward. So I believe there's one bad seal on one of these. I believe these ones, one of them was leaking a bit, but the bushings on this side are fairly okay. Oh, that one's leaking, so that bellows seal is blown out. So yeah, as you can see, I have my work plan for next year. I mean, the tracks aren't that horrible to do. The bushings and probably the wheels are the most notorious work on this. Any undercarriage work on these bulldozers or crawlers, it is notorious. It's not fun. It's just bunch of work, but whatever, we're going to do it. And maybe if I have time, maybe I'm doing to do some smaller projects here and there. But anyway, that would be the update on the crawler. Basically, it's usable. The little things we have, like that oil level rising, like I said, that's going to be taken care of off camera. If there's anything interesting, I'll film it. If not, you'll be hearing about it in the future. So that would be it. I mean, long way, but we've done it. We can now use the machine without having to worry much. So thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you around soon.